It's Nick Atkin here on South China Morning Post, SCMP MMA in Hong Kong. And I'm with the CEO of the Professional Fighters League, Peter Murray. What's going on, Peter? How are you doing, mate?
All right. Good morning. Great to see you. I know it's late day there, so I'm glad we got a chance to sync up here.
Yeah, we're about 12 hours apart. I think you're 12 hours behind me, so never easy to do these, but I've been meaning to catch up with you for a while because, Peter, I wanted to get your thoughts on the PFL regular season that's just finished. Personally, I loved it. I mean, really enjoyed the season. What were your thoughts and takeaways from the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, season to date has been great. The product is next level, starting with an elevated athlete roster. We have returning champions, some of our top contenders who have been with us, and then new talent from Rory, McDonald, Claressa Shields also making her debut, others coming into the mix. And it was really a season combination of upsets and combined with, some of those top athletes that are trying to hold on to their position, so to speak, and have a repeat performance at championship. So it really has been exciting. We couldn't be happier for it. And we're really getting to see some emerging, athletes starting to shine, like Brendan Loughnane and others.
Yeah, I wanted to get to Brendan in a minute, but you mentioned it there, the upsets. Two of the big signings, the summer signings, we had Fabricio, Werdum, Anthony Pettis, neither of them making the playoffs. Are we shocked at this development, or is it just something that people maybe don't understand, that there is world-class talent outside of the big organizations like the UFC? I mean, PFL is right up there now in terms of talent, right?
No, you nailed it. It's called Welcome to the PFL. And we absolutely have some of the best fighters from around the world. It's very difficult to get into the league, in terms of credentials that are required, skills. Ray Sefo, our president of fighter operations, who leads that effort for us. But no, it's a wake-up call to many athletes coming in. The PFL is no walk in the park, related to the caliber of talent as well as the format. I mean, in less than 7 months to get through the championship, become champion, fighters have to fight 4 times in less than 7 months. And so it's grueling for some. I think that's what many of our athletes experienced. And so, but here's also the beauty. I mean, the sport at times can be very unforgiving, unlike other sports, where an athlete has a loss or two, over a span of career, and you're as good as yesterday. And in our view, you're as good as the season that you're in. Anthony Pettis can come back next year. We're excited for him to continue to work hard and demonstrate he still has that desire. He still has the skills to become champion as a former champion at UFC. And I know he's excited for that opportunity. Same thing with Fabricio. It was unfortunate with that no contest, and he is an amazing. He's one of the greatest all-time heavyweights in the sport, and still relevant, banging today. And that was a very controversial call. And I really feel bad for him. I think he should still be in the season, and had that not gone down that way. But I can assure you, next season he'll be back at it. And we're excited about that. So going back to the unforgiving point, at the end of the day, you're as good as last season, so, and you wipe the slate clean, and you see what you have, what it takes to get to the championship. Hey, no different than an EPL team, no different than an NBA team or an NFL team. While these are individual fighters, it is the same premise.
You mentioned that, you mentioned with Fabricio Werdum and the decision there. A lot of other people thought there was another controversial decision. You probably know what I'm talking about, Rory McDonald and Gleison Tibau. What did you think of that? Because it was a split decision, went Gleison's way, but a lot of people thought it should have been Rory's win there. Do you have any feelings on that? I mean, they both still made it through to the playoffs, right?
I was at, listen, I watched the fight and we looked at our expert broadcast analysts, how they scored the fight. We also looked at how fans scored the fight. We have a platform to do that, combined with FPR, Fighter Performance Rating, which is a computer proprietary system we created, and all the scoring went Rory's way. And so really comes down to the judges in the state of New Jersey and how they scored it. There's really nothing the PFL can do. Obviously, fighters can make their appeal. I do think that decision should have went Rory's way. But you know what? He's a pro. While I know he was disappointed about that outcome, it did not prevent him from getting into the playoffs. And now, come the playoffs in August, we have a championship caliber matchup with he and Ray Cooper, who is the 2019 PFL champion. It's going to be a great fight. Two very fighters.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to ask you. That, to me, is obviously the standout fight, I think, in these playoffs. I don't know if you can see them on screen there now. I'm just bringing it up. But yes, there it is. Rory McDonald, Ray Cooper III on the second of the 3 playoff cards in August. Any other playoff fights that you think people should keep their eyes out for? Any dark horses of what could, really steal the show?
No, listen, August is it's the Final Four of MMA. And so the fact that, this is the format shining at its best, meaning, we started with 60 fighters, right? We're down to 24 fighters. And in 3 events, fans will get to see who is left standing. And those top, contenders to who will be in the championship. And obviously there's a lot on the line. There's a belt on the line and there's $1 million for each fighter. So it really is the format at its best. Every fight is going to be super exciting, and you have Brendan up here.
Yeah.
And listen,
I've got to represent him. As a fellow Brit, I've got to big up Brendan.
Of course, and we love Brendan's passion, and he really showed us something in 2019. He had 2 fights. He wasn't in the season, and clearly last year Brendan's been working hard, training, elevating his game, so to speak. You're seeing it in the cage and how he's dominating. But this is not an easy fight, and fans around the world, including obviously the UK and his backyard in Manchester, people are really stoked to watch Brendan's journey.
But yeah, Movlid, as you mentioned, it's not going to be an easy fight. He looked very impressive. Undefeated. I think he's got 1 draw, but he looked awesome in that last fight against Lance Palmer. I thought. What did you make of Movlid?
Hey, he's got some incredible weapons, and we've seen that knee emerge, and it comes out of nowhere. So it'll be interesting how Brendan defends against that.
Yeah, and you also mentioned I just wanted to get your thoughts as well on Claressa Shields. Yes, she had a really fun debut, I thought. I got really into that fight. I thought she was, going to lose the fight, and then she pulled it out of the bag in the 3rd round, showed what she's capable of. What have you made of her kind of diving into the world of MMA, and how high do you think the ceiling is for her?
I think it's very high, and she's a champion. I mean, she's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in boxing. She has 3 pro belts today, greatest woman of all time, arguably, in the sport of boxing. And she's young. She's still, I want to say she's 26 years old. And she has heart, she has courage. And what she demonstrated, she kept her composure. Brittany was an absolute challenging opponent for Claressa, her debut. And to watch Claressa stay composed while she was on the mat, and then she finished. She you saw her heart, you saw her strength in that 3rd round, and she finished on the mat, on the ground. And I think she wanted to demonstrate that she has that capability, not just a toe-to-toe fighter. And so we have yet to see the best of Claressa Shields, and we're excited about her next fight this August. And then Ray Cepho and my team will evaluate, working with Claressa's team, if has what it takes to get into the cage in the season format in 2022. And that's what this is all about. And it's unfolding right in front of fans to see her make a debut, to see her further develop, And then ultimately the league will make an assessment. Does she have the capability or what else does she need to do to ensure that she can be in the cage with the likes of Kayla Harrison and the other top women in the women's 155 weight class.
You see here, we do not have an opponent yet on this schedule. Have you guys been looking at anyone? Have you got any names in line yet, or is it too far away?
We have an opponent identified. We haven't announced her yet. She's from outside the U.S. And candidly, we're just working through some visa related protocols. And so we don't want to announce until all that's squared away. So just more context on logistics and planning. But yes, she does have an opponent.
Okay. And yeah, briefly, you did mention there as well. Kayla Harrison's been very impressive again, just kind of rolling right through. She's got to be the favorite, right, to win the title again.
Hey, I mean, she is, I believe she's in a class of her own as an athlete. She's undefeated, and she's certainly paving the way for the next belt. But as you know, and as fans know, anything can happen when that cage door closes and that bell rings. But she is a game-changing force, for the PFL and in the sport. And once again, in a class of her own, we're excited to see her, continue and what she does in the playoffs. And should she get to the championship? And Jenna Fabian from New Zealand, amazing former kickboxer. She's continuing to also demonstrate she's elevating her game. And she definitely has some skills and weapons that, Kayla will need to, see how she defends against. So, but this will be a great fight. And we're excited about next season with Kayla, talking about a number of different things. And, candidly, beyond Claressa potentially coming into the women's 155 weight class next year, we have some other major signings that we will be announcing shortly to continue to bolster the caliber of fighters in this women's division.
Are you confident she's going to stay with the PFL? Because there has been talk maybe she might seek new pastures, but you mentioned it there, you want to bolster this division. Do you think you can keep her as the kind of centerpiece of this organization?
Yeah, we're confident that we can, and I think it really suits her, the way she views the sport as opposed to one-off events and without context and really competing and earning your way through. She's been on the podium, and we offer a similar type global stage and an opportunity. And there's certainly other weight classes that Claressa can engage on, whether it's women's 145. But we're confident that we have a bright future together. Now,
we are the South China Morning Post here, and there was a little bit of news which is very relevant to me and Hong Kong. I wanted to ask you about, you brought on the former CEO of NBA China, haven't you? He's now on the board of directors. How has it been? I wanted to speak to you about this before, but as I mentioned, we've kind of missed each other for the last couple of weeks. But a big announcement, that you were bringing in Derek Chang. So, what's his role going to be?
Sure. We're very excited about Derek Chang joining the PFL board. Derek is an impressive media and technology executive. Most recently, he was CEO of NBA China. He's leading a tech company today, combined with his other interests and his history in media and sports. He's very innovative, and from an international perspective, we'll partner with Derek. He'll play a role in helping us to plan our international growth strategy, including Asia, including China, and many other markets.
Yes, I wanted to ask, is this a specific area and region you want to grow into? I mean, it's quite crowded. You've got everyone vying for the market there, the UFC making big moves with their Performance Institute, and then the Contender Series Asia they were going to put on, and then One Championship is still obviously in the region. Do you think you can compete with these other organizations there?
Absolutely. And it's less about competing, candidly, and it's more about fulfilling the demand that fans have for access to premium MMA content and fights. And it's an underserved fan base in all parts of the world. Here in the U.S., as well as regions around the world, including Asia, including China. It's a massive market, a massive opportunity. I've spent a lot of time in China in my days at Under Armour. developing Under Armour's brand and business, leading with basketball, and focused on the grassroots of the sport. So in China, we're committed to the market. We're committed to doing what we need to do to help grow the sport at the grassroots participatory level, at the pro talent development level, as well as providing great content and fights, including staging events in Asia and in China specifically. So we're working through those plans. Derek is involved, and others, and I'm excited about the market potential for MMA overall, as well as the PFL. And what I could tell you is, with 550 million fans around the world and growing, and China being a very important part of that, in particular longer term, it's going to be a massive market. And when you think about other sports, the amount of, whether it be football matches, whether it be tennis matches, whatever the sport is, there really isn't, when you think about weekly, monthly, year-round product. And in our view, there's really only 80 relevant events globally, including the PFL events. So there's so much more room in the fans, time to consume and engage on more quality MMA events and fights. And so we'll certainly be taking a stronger position in China.
And I suppose Derek's the perfect guy, right? You've seen how big the NBA has grown. It's massive there. Is that something you want people in China to associate MMA with PFL, or are you looking for a share of that whole market?
Yeah, well, listen, like I said, the market's growing, and to win, at the end of the day, we don't have to beat anyone. We have to continue to grow the sport and expand the PFL. I mean, it's an underserved fan base who wants access to more quality content and fights, and we have a differentiated version that's premium, that's innovative, on a different night of the week for the same fan. And so, we're playing a role in advancing and growing the sport around the world, including China. So more to come on, tangible stakes in the ground that we'll be making.
Yeah, and I mean, the last time I spoke to you, I think there was some kind of desire to go in and host events there, but it's got to be difficult right now with COVID. So I guess you're focusing on other things. How do you reach the Chinese fans then? Because I think the UFC signed a deal with Migu, a subsidiary of China Mobile. Are you looking at different tech companies to reach fans? Is that a strategy?
I mean, we do have distribution in China, but next year is going to look much different as it relates to broadcast coverage, as it relates to digital access. So fans have access broadly throughout the country, and you nailed it. There are other forms of technology as well to activate our IP and certainly monetize it as we grow our business.
All right. Well, finally, what can everyone expect from these playoffs in August down in Miami? Is that right? You're going to be in Miami?
We're going to be in South Florida at Hard Rock. We have 3 events starting August 13th. Each event, they'll be weekly. Each event has 2 weight classes, and it's the final 4 of each weight class. And we'll see who's left standing and is in the big money $1 million championship come later this year. So it's going to be really exciting. We're excited next week to launch our official bracket, and that's how fans could engage. And pick your favorite. What is the perfect bracket for the PFL playoffs? Learn more about these individual fighters, their professional careers, their PFL journey, what led them to this point, what clinched them into the playoffs, and then combine with, interesting stories about their personal lives. That's what fans care about, and so we're going to give fans the opportunity to engage in MMA in the playoffs in August, unlike any other MMA organization. So it's a real opportunity to have some fun with the bracket, see what the fighters do, and, there'll be some prizes for fans as well, for those who pick the perfect bracket.
All right. Thanks very much, Peter Murray. Pleasure to catch up with you again. I'm sure I'll speak to you at some other stage after the playoffs end or whenever. But yeah, good luck for everything. Can't wait to watch myself. Tune in, everyone watching. And yeah, thanks again, Peter.
Yeah, no, thank you. Always great seeing you, and I look forward to seeing you at an event. And next year,
I'd love to. I don't think I can get there with the COVID.
we'll be staging events outside the U.S. next year. And
all right, might be easier for me.
we'll make it happen.
Come to Hong Kong, very easy.
Love it.
All right, man. Thanks so much, Peter. Cheers.
Cheers.